Welcome to The Complete Teacher, 101 meaningful, bite-sized professional development lessons, each coming with thought-provoking titles, relevant, inspiring quotes, helpful text with anecdotes, data, and wisdom, and action steps. Lesson 12, Dated, Dull, and Detrimental, the Sage on a Stage. Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory. That is a well-known Indiana Jones quote. And then Pierre-Marc Gaston says, "It is easier to judge the mind of a man by his questions rather than his answers." Students asking questions is a crucial part of developing knowledge. One study found that the average teacher asks over 300 questions to students each day, yet the average student asks only one question to their teacher every week. This is largely thanks to centuries-old Western educational models that exalt the teacher as the keeper of wisdom, the all-knowing professor, the sage on a stage. Wiktionary defines sage on a stage as an educator, especially at the post-secondary level, who imparts knowledge by lecturing to an audience. There are reasons why this method has been in vogue since the first European universities emerged in the Middle Ages. There are also reasons why the educational pendulum has been swinging away from this approach ever since. Specifically, in the world of social sciences, sage on a stage has worked for centuries because people enjoy stories. It's the reason we like things and follow people on social media. It's why movies will never go out of style. It's what drives us to binge watch on Netflix. It explains Indiana Jones and his day job as a professor of archaeology. Teachers of history are in a unique position since history is about stories, and children, even adults, are hardwired to enjoy stories. And sages on stages can be found across content areas and grade levels as well. In recent years, educational leaders have frowned upon the sage on a stage, noting that the teacher often does the lion's share of the critical thinking, leaving student engagement and questions largely optional. The saying, "It's my job to teach and your job to learn," cannot enter our classrooms if the goal is student learning. Instead, the saying should be, "It's my job to teach and it's my job to see that you learn." If they haven't learned it, you may have spoken some words on the content, but you haven't taught it. Merely lecturing, however good you may be, doesn't guarantee that students learn. With an increased focus on skills over content knowledge, and with easy access to information in the digital age, sages on stages are becoming dated. To many students, the constant talking can be dull, and if students aren't given chances to think critically for themselves, sages can be detrimental to student progress. The pendulum has swung away from teacher-led learning to student-led learning, as students from early grades are expected to read and to write and to talk about content with deeper complexity in the classroom. However, it is possible for the teacher to capitalize on students' love of stories without being the sage on a stage and doing all the heavy lifting or critical thinking for the class. Students might get the story in a variety of ways, including watching clips, listening to direct instruction, or reading together. There are lesson designs that beautifully blend the love of stories with a student-focused environment, including high rigor and high engagement. So go ahead and use stories to your advantage, but design your lessons to focus on learning too. Action steps. Bring to mind an upcoming lesson during which you will likely do a fair amount of talking. How can you carve out space for student engagement during that learning segment? Outside of your speaking, how have you allowed space or time for students to digest or engage with the content? Need a copy of all the Complete Teacher lessons on slides? Looking for an e-reader or physical copy of the Complete Teacher? Want to browse thousands of other top-rated engaging resources? Check out the links below.